I don't know. I haven't heard from Arnaud yet. I really do not know if he was supposed to do this with us and he's just sleeping, or for him he wasn't supposed to do it with us, and then I don't know.
I've heard he will join us with his jetpack and he'll just fly in. He's preparing something.
That'd be fun to add someone in the middle of the show. I don't know. Where do you want to start?
I would like.
Want to talk about first?
Well, I don't know. Do you want to talk about John Wick from the get-go? Do you want to talk about things you watched this week?
I guess the question will be: should we have a spoiler session for this movie or not?
Is there any spoilers? Do you think there are spoilers? I don't.
I guess
major
not plot-wise, but what I wouldn't like for if I hadn't seen the movie, what I wouldn't like to hear about is all the mythology, surrounding the hitman in this universe. You know what I'm saying? All about the coins and the stuff like that they actually went a little bit deeper on this one. We're not bound to talk about it. We can just walk around and just talk about the movie.
All right. So
have you seen other things lately?
Well, I've watched a lot of good TV shows lately. I've not
really.
Yeah, I've just started the new season of Homeland. I don't know if you. We just watched the first episode, which I really liked. I really liked the direction they're taking with this whole Muslim threat from the inside. I really like that topic.
Plus, there's the lawyer side of things, the ONG side, which was a little bit foreseen in the season 5, but in this one is more humane actually towards what's going on in the US right now with Trump and all.
It was really fun to see that they got the female president wrong, because they obviously thought that Hillary was going to get it. So that was funny. I was like, oh no, we have to reshoot this crap. Let's get some freak. That was funny. A couple of other shows I really like. I really like VOA. We talked about this. Really like the spooky, quirky, frightening aspects of it. I really like it. Really liked it. Also, really liked Santa Clarita Diet as far as comedy.
Did you finish the season?
Yeah, and I really liked it actually. I thought it was refreshing.
It's fun.
It's fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it. I guess I binge watched it right after it came out on Netflix, and it was a lean time for TV shows. Lately, I've been abandoning a lot of TV shows that just the quality wasn't there anymore, so I didn't have anything else to watch. And this one is pretty fun. A new take on the zombie thing with Drew Barrymore. It's cool. I guess you should check it out. It's not really serious. Even the actors, I found them not really taking their roles so seriously.
Yeah.
I always kind of see the smile on Timothy Olyphant's face.
Am I funny? Yeah. No. Right. Yeah. Am I funny? Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Timing is right. I think this show is like the François Bayrou of the.
When there's nothing else to watch, I guess we gotta see this thing.
I guess I can go because The Walking Dead is down the toilet. Okay, let's go. Let's have a try. And what I really like Santa Clarita Diet is because I've been doing this thing about big data, and what's really funny, if you take a step back, is that you can really see how the Netflix big data thing works, because in this show you can see a bit of Desperate Housewives, a bit of comedy, a bit of zombie in the background, a bit of teenagers. So you can really see these things being added up to form a new show. It's really...
I can totally see the meeting producers and some guy just pitched, I got a great idea. What if we were in the suburbs and then there's zombies, right? But we do not leave the suburbs. All right.
Yeah, what do we need? We've got the suburbs. Zombies, duh.
That's the only thing that works right now. Zombies.
Let's go for it.
But they kind of do it well because again they're not too serious about it, and they're having fun with the whole concept, and the actors are pretty good. Drew Barrymore, Timothy Olyphant.
Great.
We kind of have Nathan Fillion just for a few episodes in the beginning, so that's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, the real TV shows for me, I just starting right now. There's you talked about it, Homeland. I wasn't really so sure about the first 3 episodes.
I just watched one, so
well, you'll see the 4th and the 5th are just amazing. It's like the best 24 episode back in the day with Kiefer Sutherland. So it's really becoming great. Always looking forward to watch another ep for this. There's the new X-Men TV show that's on FX. It's called Legion.
Okay.
And it's really good. Beautifully shot, by the way. Have you ever seen the Utopia UK TV show?
I have that. I have to watch that, by the way, but I hear it's quite good, yeah.
Yeah, the aesthetics in this TV show is great. I think it's probably for me the thing that was on TV that was the most beautiful, and Legion would be just second place. Very cinematographic and mutants. That's awesome to see mutants in a TV show.
You talked about Billions as well?
Billions season 2. That's a great show. Great actors. I mean, Paul Giamatti, Damian Lewis, the old Brody in Homeland. That's great because the Wall Street scene hasn't been that much in TV shows. You know, we kind of love that in movies, Wolf of Wall Street, etc. But not in TV shows. And this one, you kind of see this hedge fund manager who is kind of hype, kind of a young shark. On the other side, you have the DA. The New York DA, who's all about making himself a name by having a big fish to market, and a second season that starts really well. I've seen 2 episodes,
and this is quite surprising because, as you said, it is surprising knowing the such a vast subject that. I mean, TV series would be the perfect medium to treat that subject. I mean, because there's so much to treat. I guess,
exactly. Yeah. You have the time because. When you have a movie that's talking about it, it's always just one aspect, like you said, the fraud aspect. But here you have this aspect too. Of course, there's also the networking of people. Like the DA is the son of a hedge fund manager, so you see they all come from the same cloth, I guess, because they all went to Harvard anyway. So the money aspect, those people are so rich that they're beyond the realm of reason. They can buy $20 million houses, and they have time actually to talk about every aspect of it. So.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think people think that things have calmed down, but I've had these talks with my colleagues, the economics teachers, and they know and they say that if things were to burst again, this would be far worse than ever because people are like doing this exponentially bigger schemes. So if it were to crack down, it would be like awful, really awful.
They actually talk about that a little bit because they kind of tell you that, well, right after the 2008 crisis, nothing really changed. Everybody talked about regulations, and they kind of have fun because you see this point of view from the sharks, from the guys who go get the money, and they're like, yeah, we're all right. We're gonna fuck everyone.
I know this sneaky bastard, like looking behind them, like, are we clear? Are we clear? Let's go get some money.
So I guess the show in itself kind of wink at the fact that, well, nothing's really changed, and we should be careful of that. But also I have to talk about a new TV show from someone I kind of love and learn to appreciate a lot. Pete Holmes, who has a very successful podcast. It's called You Made It Weird with Pete Holmes. It's a one-on-one interview, and he's a stand-up comedian. And the pilot of his TV show Crashing just came out and was really, really funny. It's him and Judd Apatow. who created this. It's a little autobiographical. His divorce while he started the stand-up scene in New York. This loser guy bombing in shows and having difficult time in his personal life and actually crashing in his friend's couch. So that's
it's funny because I think Louis C.K. has really set up a trend for comedians being losers and trying to find insight in their lives. And I think there's this. Was he on the Joe Rogan's Experience? This guy.
Pete Holmes?
Yeah.
Yeah, Pete Holmes has been actually one of his latest guests. Yeah. Which is really weird because the two guys have been extremely successful in their podcast and they talk about so much common stuff, and that's the first time they actually talk to each other. So that was a good episode.
Yeah. Okay. Just one last thing. I want to mention them because I know you're on Netflix. So I watched the best. One of the best mini-series in a few months, which is BBC's Dr. Foster. I don't know if you heard that. It's a BBC mini-series, 5-episode thing. It's about
like some kind of The Affair. Or something
it is.
It's a little bit like that.
And paradoxically, where from the get-go, you see, it's about adultery. Obviously, it's about this girl, this successful doctor, 50-year-old suburban British girl, and she and her husband is having an affair, and it's really simple, but it's quite amazing how they can stretch this out on how much they can get from that, and it was really, really, really good. So I really recommend that show. Really good show.
It's on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll check that out.
Have a go, yeah, it's good. Good.
We're on a momentum right now. Should we talk about any movies we've seen lately just before doing the John Wick?
Yeah, well, I, after listening to the Passengers episode, we watched with my lovely wife, Passengers, which I liked, was a bit bizarre at some points, but it's really trashing down in the third act, I think. Once Lawrence Fishburne shows his face, you can...
Yeah, I don't know, yeah. Like we've talked about, it was it was an episode in French, yeah. The first part of the movie, probably the first half, I just loved it. It was so ballsy, so much audacity in this first half of the movie, and then they just torpedoed themselves. I guess they couldn't maintain the tone of the movie.
It's really a shame because I think it's money really wasted. I mean, because there is such a tremendous amount of work on set design, and it's just gorgeous. And you see all the work they did about that. What I really loved, and this is something a bit grim, is the fact that that they're supposed to embark on this adventure and they go on the colony to start a new life, to start fresh. But the money inequalities follow them on the ship.
Yeah,
it never leaves you. It's like this guy is having this ridiculous breakfast when this girl is having the gold ticket thing, and it's I really like that. And I want to ask you a question because I don't agree with, because there was a guy in your podcast who said that it was because of the Hollywood blacklist thing that you can't get a good film. But my question is, in this way, I mean, if we once that being said, why do you get movies like Interstellar then? Why do you?
What do you mean because of the blacklist?
Yeah,
I mean, the script itself was in the blacklist for a while, but
from
it was,
my impression, and because is that what was said on your podcast, was great potential, but it's ruined because there are Hollywood executives saying, if you want to do this, you have to get this you have to get some explosions at the end, or it's not going to work. So eventually, money people ruining it for you. And so my question was, that said, why did you get films like Interstellar then? Because It's in that vein.
You have to see the credential of Chris Nolan. I mean, the guy just came out of literally $1 billion box office results with The Dark Knight, so I guess they give him some leeway for his scripts that he actually writes himself or with his brother. So he's in pretty much control of the whole thing. I love Interstellar. For me, it's a 5 out of 5 yums for this movie, but it is plot-wise less brave than the beginning of Passengers again, because the moral conundrum that Chris Pratt's character has in the beginning of the movie, I've never seen that anywhere. Where have you ever seen someone who's likable, who you can relate to, do such a thing, and you're stuck with the consequences?
It doesn't stand if you are going to pussy out of it by the end of the second act. I mean, so
it is true.
You know what would have been awesome? What would have been stellar would have been the fact that, you know, for example, I was thinking, oh, that would be so great if like Jennifer Lawrence, she kills him. And then she's alone for a while, and then she decides to wake someone else up, you know?
And the cycle continues. Yeah, you know what? I think I was with PJ, and we talked about a lot of possibilities for the ending of this movie. And definitely what we could have come up in a few minutes was, I'm sorry to say that, but better than this one, because this one was so easy. So, oh, you know what, I'm going to forgive you for waking me up. No, it's too easy. Don't go that way. And Hollywood tends to, I think for me, tends to trick new comers, new directors into doing things that cannot do. They set them up for failure. And I guess Morten Tildum, the director of Passengers, was kind of this kind of director, because okay, he had a great time doing the Imitation Game, so he has a name for himself, but he hasn't the pull to say, no, I will do everything that I think is good from beginning to end of the movie, like Christopher Nolan could do. And that's where he gets fucked, I guess, for this movie.
Yeah. Well, it really poses questions that are really interesting in that areas. And you know, recently, and thank you again, by the way, for introducing me to the Joe Rogan's Experience. I had such fun listening to the Kevin Smith episode. Oh, yeah. And you know, in that episode, Kevin Smith's like, have you seen Yoga Hosers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and basically, when you look at the spectrum, you've got this guy, and he says, I just want to do whatever I want. I just want to take my camera and I just want to film about what I want. And yes, you're going to have, and okay, so the scale is much
smaller.
It's much smaller. But you know, in the end, you've got people saying, so I've given you a couple of meals. So where's this advertising thing going? So you get. But exactly. in a way, I think that there's a possibility. I dream about possibility of people doing having that much liberty with much more, much larger scales of money. Yeah.
Money. Yeah. I think it's going to come up. We talked about Eli Roth. Eli Roth does the same thing. He's like, you know, give me just a couple of millions and I'll do whatever I want, and it's working because there's a lot of VOD buy for the Green Inferno and Knock Knock, and I think, you know what, in art in general and in expression in general, that's exactly what podcasts are. Actually, we bought a mic and we do whatever we want, and that's exactly how Joe Rogan or whatever started. And you can have another voice, a voice that's not controlled by money and advertising and stuff like that. People are more and more looking towards that. I guess we can only hope for the best in the movie theaters, to see more stuff like the beginning of Passengers without having someone to to push it down at the end of the movie.
We need Joe Rogan directing films. That's what we need. Like, I just do whatever I want. I do steroids. I do MMA. Isn't this guy living the best life? I mean, he's just sitting, smoking weed, getting high live.
The guy just, I want to become him.
Yeah,
really. That's exactly what that was so funny because when I started to do podcast and stand up, and I was like, oh my god, he's doing what I wanted. It's just, just doing stand up, and he's talking to his friends, smoking weed, and being listened by, I don't know.
So what you should do is you should get your ass on that plane with me to LA this summer, and then and we'll do whatever we can to get on that podcast and say that.
I don't think we could, but definitely, I'm definitely thinking about coming with you in LA. We do you know what, we do another podcast there with some guys over there.
They should be the shit, man. They should be great. So again, really like, and I don't know, I thought, I've been thinking about recommending this podcast because I listen a lot of shit, and this is really good because he's so open-minded and so eager to find out about so many different subjects that you can really improve your English because he resorts to all kinds of vocabulary. And he talks about fighting, he talks about hunting bears, talks about philosophy, science. There was this great episode. I want to buy this guy's book. The book, it's like astrophysics.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Astrophysics for people in a hurry. And so that said, that could be the ultimate podcast for the English learners, I think. Yeah.
This will become the Joe Rogan Appreciation Podcast.
Okay, this is what we should do.
No, I totally agree, and this is the kind of thing that I love, that we cannot find in our TV, the website. We go to find our news because it's so black and white. Everyone has to have some side on a subject, and nobody's actually giving their real point of view with strong arguments to why they think that. So no one's debating, no one's having the training for his brain to think this way or that way, and do I think that because I have a reason to think that? Or am I thinking that just because everyone else around me thinks that? And it's kind of fun to actually have yourself put in check with any subject that you think you have a strong opinion on.
Yeah. And it totally strengthens the length argument because these podcasts are sometimes like 4 hours long, but you can stop it and play it back whenever you want, and you can still get into it. So that would be a good argument for my students because I have the funniest story, mate, about the Faim de Séance podcast. Yeah. I was going on with my course. It was Monday, I think. I was with Première S and my favorite class. Just like us, Première S2, TS2. That's the gist,
the best
mate.
One.
And I'm doing my thing, and I heard, and I'm hearing in the background, oh, Faim de Séance. I'm like, what? Okay, and this is crucial as far as being, cross-referencing and making sure that people find you on the web. And I'm like, what? Just hold on. Who said that first? Stop talking,
everything.
Bitches.
Hold the presses.
I literally paused my lesson. I was like, okay, pens down, bitches, shut up. Who said that? And then there is this guy, it's me. Yeah, we've heard you on the Faim de Séance podcast. And like, what? Why? It turns out that, and I'm thinking of that because the argument was like, yeah, but it's too long. So it was like, did you listen to it? No, it's too long. And I don't have 1 hour because I'm 17 years old, mate. And you know what they did? They just typed Mr. Rabot in the YouTube.
Mr. Rabot. English teacher on Google, and bam, Faim de Séance. Great.
Yeah, that's what happened. So they typed Mr. Rabot on Google, on YouTube, and then bam, they listen to Faim de Séance. So there you go.
Yeah.
That was funny. That was the funniest thing. And then,
Yeah.
so I hijacked the Éducation Nationale's time to talk about Faim de Séance for like 10 minutes.
Now, that's
so you know
what
what
I
you can
call
you can go listen, and they
hardcore advertising
iTunes,
right
5
now.
stars, yeah. Yeah, so that there was some Fillon style public money hijacking. So that was great. There was a great moment. So I'm definitely trying to get them interested, but it's really difficult because 17-year-olds, once it's more once it's longer than 5 minutes, that they disconnect. So yeah.
But that's the thing, though. They typed it on YouTube, so obviously I've never listened to podcast on YouTube, and in France, if you say podcast, everyone's thinking about funny videos of 1 or 2 minutes. Nobody's really thinking about audio podcasts. Like the American might be thinking about.
Yeah, in addition to, podcasts, in addition to being a bit unknown to the French community, it's even less. It's even less when you talk about youth and 17-year-olds. And I think YouTube is the shit, man. For
the attention span of a 17-year-old, you have to be aware about. But that's exactly the opposite of what I'm listening to. So even the top 10 French podcasts are just radio shows. Again, 3 minutes, 10 minutes max, just having an interview with someone, and that's just clips from what's happening on their radios. So you just completely lose the whole debate, going deeper on an argument, going deeper on a subject that you can have on the top 10 American podcasts with Joe Rogan, with Sam Harris, the philosopher, atheist. For that, you need to have time, and for that, you need to put your headphones on and just
yeah, sure. So that's what I said, and because one of the students, they asked me, they said, but why don't you do anything shorter? And I said, I'd rather not adapt to the most, and I'd rather the few adapt to what we do. Yeah. Much more interesting that way than to being like the flock of sheep.
Exactly.
Being
it's literally like this conversation. Only 3 people will listen to it.
But
and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, the best. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, it's all a niche thing. Within comedians, by the way, there's a lot of people I can see. I can see their talent, but it's not my thing. I'm not going to laugh to your jokes. I know it's well done, it's well written, but it's not my cup of tea. And there's another guy who will talk to me a little bit more, and that's the whole thing. People who love Louis C.K. won't love Michel Leb. So that's the thing.
And that's funny. That's funny because you said a niche, and that's why we are at a good. The timing is really good for that kind of medium, because I've been listening to the most interesting podcast on the BBC. One's called The Inquiry, and the other one's called BBC Analysis. And there was an episode where they talked about why are we hooked on our smartphones and why we hooked on this. And there are people, and because there is this thing being going on about people getting slowly aware of the fact that you can't escape advertising on your phone, you can't escape big data on your phone. And so they use the organic metaphor, and they said that the same way, because in the global market, the only people who have managed to make a product more expensive but who drew attention to people was the organic food market. Because what these people said is, okay, this is more expensive, but this is better for you, and you are being more intelligent if you go that way. So there are people right now, as we speak, hedge fund people with money, think tanks of money people, thinking about the fact that how can we make And, in response to Google, how can we make an alternative phone, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is more expensive,
But
about
that you
the
will use less?
yeah, but which is ad-free, completely ad-free, and completely big data free. You know what I mean? About the way that you select your information, about the way that you escape the Google and Apple monopoly. Okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I know what you mean, but I think it's weird. Someone really wants to invest in that? That seems weird. The thing is, to invest in something that technological as a phone with ad-free stuff, the problem is, you actually said the right word, because the hedge funds guy who will invest in such a project do have shares in Google and YouTube or whatever. So how can they create something that goes against what the other things that are making money for them? So,
well, the same thing that, okay, the organic food, the bio food is a good example, because if you take bio food and organic food like 15, 20 years ago, it's really, 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 really slim, and it's like 2 people on Earth, okay? So what they're saying is that if you take that time when people were starting to become aware that this junk food was bad, okay? It's the same time we're living now, where people are starting to become aware that big data is bad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so as they try to get away from this, they are thinking of something which could go around that and which could draw people putting more money to avoid that whole thing.
No,
you know what I mean?
I know. No, I've totally understood that. The thing is, the difference is, let's say I'm a big brand. I'm like a Walmart or a Carrefour or whatever. I can decide to have a branch of my food to be organic. So I'm earning money anyway, all over the place, with non-organic and organic. The problem with big data is it is used by every technological aspect and every informatic aspect of it. So saying that you have something that is ad-free, because advertising is literally everything that comes into play in movies, TV shows, websites, etc. You have to literally be a pro bono stuff, not to have advertisement, or an amateur like a podcast. But if you suppress the advertisement, I cannot see some big investment coming on that, or perhaps a Kickstarter then.
The advertisement is not the main thing. The main thing is cross-referencing from Google, for example, and say, how do you say that this press article is more relevant or truthful than another one?
Okay, just
it's much more.
It's the targeting of Google.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's to re-establish truth in a way. And when you look at Trump, and Trump could be the trigger of that, and people have been literally they've been thinking lately, what do we do once the most powerful guy in the world decides that the New York Times is no longer welcome in the White House press conference? You know what I mean? So
you're doing a stretch right now, because I'm going to do the devil's advocate right now. I like my Amazon or my Google saying to me, you like this? Why don't you check this out?
I know, and I too like to be charmed by that. But what I'm saying is there are definitely things going on of people who try to imagine this market of money making, where you could bypass all that, the truth, the fake truth, and the big data.
But isn't anyway economic stuff always been trying to find some kind of niche to innovate? I mean, sodas probably had started with something like that. Well, not everyone will use it, but and then to come back to movies, because yes, it is a movie podcast. Hi.
And good transition, by the way.
Yeah, it is. It is what we see with those Kevin Smith guys and the Eli Roth, the guys that started with a mini studio that came to take a greater place in the Hollywood studios. I'm thinking about Lionsgate. Do you remember when Lionsgate was the small studio that went out with Saw, the movie Saw, and it's just horror movies that are edgy, that are dark, and oh my god, we've never seen this before in the movies. And now Lionsgate is a big brand name, and I think we will see that on every other aspect of movies.
Good transition, I was saying, because The Devil's Advocate is my Keanu Reeves favorite movie. So, so you are good, man. You are good. You try to slightly, subtly bring it back to
John Wick.
Yeah, that's good.
What did we talk about? Well, it was Passengers, because you've seen Passengers. That's why we
Passengers,
talked about
and then
all
Joe,
this.
and then once you've started to talk about Joe Rogan, you go to the stratosphere. You know? Yeah.
To close the stuff we've seen lately, do you have other movies? I've actually seen a lot of movies these days. I saw War on Everyone. I don't know if you heard about this, with Alexander Skarsgård and Michael Pena. It's a buddy cop movie that is a little weird. It wants to be a Shane Black movie. It resembles a lot of The Nice Guys. By the way, you cannot really place the time in this movie, because you see that it's a modern movie because there's Xbox and TVs and stuff like that, but the feel is very 70-ish, and the tone is a little bit all over the place, I thought. It was trying too much to be funny, and trying too much to be some kind of Lethal Weapon with Guy Ritchie stuff adding on it, but it made me laugh a couple of times, so I'd give it 3 ums. I guess with buddies, it would go smoothly as a bro night.
That should be your standard, bros.
Yeah, bros. Does it go well with bros and wine? I don't know. So this one was it didn't go where I wanted it to go, but it was okay. The big surprise for me was We Are Your Friends, 2015 movie from Max Joseph with Zac Efron, Wes Bentley, and of course your favorite, Emily Ratajkowski.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you've been talking about this movie since it went out.
Why don't you love me?
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was probably, I don't know, repulsed by any movie of DJing, because the same year I've seen the French movie Eden. I don't know if you heard about the movie Eden. It's about the French touch in electronic music, and when it started in the late 90s or something like that. And there were interesting things in that movie, but it was too fucking long. It was like 2 hours and 40 minutes of guys that are just losers in the DJ electronic music. So I didn't want to watch any other fucking movie about that year. But I should have watched We Are Your Friends, but they would have reconciliated me with electronic music films. And plot-wise, We Are Your Friends are not especially innovative.
Whereas boob-wise...
you know exactly where the movie is going to go. It's a little bit broad strokes, but
that doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter because it fucking works. Yeah. It's just great. I found myself just loving the music. Zac Efron, I'm a fan of that guy. I mean, this guy, I know he's from High School Musical, but since that TV show, whatever, he's just awesome. And in Neighbors, in the future Baywatch with The Rock, he seems to be extremely fun, aware of where he comes from, and just willing to play on his image. So
he's a funny guy. He's a funny guy. I mean,
funny.
I saw him recently in a few movies, and every time that was good. I mean, I saw him in this one and this one did Wedding Dates. I saw him in Neighbors. In Neighbors 2 is really funny. So I think he's getting a lot of shit for the physical thing.
Yeah, because he's ripped. He's fucking ripped. Yeah. So he's too good looking to be funny, but he is funny. Yeah. So you have to accept that and just go.
I'm very
work proud. Out.
I'm very proud that I secretly planted the seed in your mind, because you didn't notice, but during my wedding, we played like 10 songs of the We Are Friends soundtrack. So I think
that's why
that
I
was
loved it. I
yeah,
loved the movie.
that
and
was
the
the
music.
ploy. I wanted to plant the seed in my friend's minds. But yeah, I really, and I think sometimes it works. You know, it's refreshing. It's so well paced. I mean,
The
you are
rhythm's
literally,
great.
and you know what? I remember seeing this in the theater, and I remember, you know, the bass line literally be shaking the all the seats, you know, and you
Oh.
really, like, you are like in the club and you are like bouncing, and this is really good. You should definitely watch this with a good sound system.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Definitely,
just pushed
definitely.
my home cinema to the max, and I
Definitely.
had a lot of fun, and I like the scene. I don't know if you remember that. There's a great scene that I loved, and the character Zac Efron's character is talking about the biology of DJing, and he's like assessing what could be the heart rate of his public, and he's like telling you, you know, I'm going to
By the
control their
swimming pool.
movements
By the
with my
swimming pool,
bass.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
with my rhythm.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was great. It was just
Science of
something going
DJing.
deeper than
Yeah.
just we're doing music and whatever.
Yeah, there is a true science to DJing, and I'm sure you will be starting a DJ podcast soon now. because, because literally, once you've seen this film, one, you download the soundtrack and listen to it all the time, and then you start ordering, you start going on DJ stores, and you want to
Track pads and whatever. Yeah.
yeah, so that's really refreshing. Really, I would definitely recommend that for a Saturday night with some chips and some beers. That's
Oh yeah,
great.
definitely. That's a 4 yums for me because I really
Yeah.
loved it, and recommend to see this movie high.
Yeah. So sometimes that's just what it takes. You know, if you liked it, you enjoyed it. That's great. That's great. Yeah.
By the way, how many yums would you give to Passengers?
I would give it a solid 2.
Oh my god, yeah, that's yeah.
Because it's a solid 2, because to me it's too lazy. It's being lazy. It's being lazy, and
I
it's
agree.
so much money wasted. That's a shame, really. But you know, I don't know. I really like watching films with my wife, and yeah, you know, with marriage life is tough, man. I think I might go see 50 Shades Darker to spice up my system. So you know, just sometimes you need that films to connect, I guess. But yeah, solid 2 because I watched it with my wife.
So watch out, because there's a good chance you might find zucchinis all over the theater. I don't know if you heard about the new.
Yeah, I saw that. And how sad, because you know, the 50 Shades success. How revealing is this of the amount of secretly dark fantasies out there? How revealing is it of the numbers of women who just want to get spanked? I mean,
And who are not getting spanked right now.
yeah, they are crying out loud. Would you spank
Would
me?
you-
I mean,
Could anyone please go spank this poor woman?
will you just tie me up? I mean,
We're actually just starting a foundation for those women. Please give us your money. And I promise I will
Yeah.
go spank them, every one of them.
have you seen this? Have you seen the 50 Shades Darker?
No.
No.
I have to admit, the first one, I couldn't watch the movie till the end because it was boring. I didn't really like the pace of the movie. I was really bored at the middle of the movie, so I just stopped. Perhaps I'd give it another go and try to watch the second one. It's, you know, it's soccer mom porn. So
Yeah, it is.
So it's like
Softcore
you said, it's a
mom,
little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit sad that you actually need to bring a zucchini to a theater to have your sexuality expressed.
You feel stuffed,
Yeah.
as they say. Yeah,
But
I read an article once about that guy, and he tried to statistically establish what kind of woman was reading these books, and the amount of insecurities is just off the charts. I mean, if you try to establish the typical girl, it's like this. You have to imagine an overweight Bridget Jones type of thing. Like this 40-year-old single and so insecure
divorced.
and
Yeah.
and binge eating Häagen-Dazs ice cream, and so it's
now
really
we'll receive complaints because you're being sexist. Because I know a lot of guys who love 50 Shades of Grey. No, I'm kidding.
how sexist is the film, by the way?
Yeah,
The film is basically
totally.
saying, okay, I bought you a car, so now bend over.
Yeah.
This is the message.
I am your daddy. I am richer and I'm more powerful than you, and come to me. This is really weird. Actually, and it's weird because it does not raise that much wrath from feminist activists.
Yeah, that's strange. That's
That's
weird.
It should.
Yeah.
I don't know. Any other movie you want to talk about?
I think we've gotten around it. I don't know. I just rewatched Point Break with Keanu Reeves, so to get in the Keanu Reeves special. But no, nothing. Oh yes, yeah. The last thing is I watched a 2015 documentary called Cartel Land. Don't know if you've seen that. It's a doc. It's a highly awarded documentary which relates the what's going on at the Mexican-American border, and you follow militia in Mexico, free people who took arms, who took weapons to defend themselves from the cartels.
That's ballsy, because the cartel
that's really ballsy, and that's really I mean, I was shocked. I was like, this it's crazy how the amount of violence you see going on right now. You see also there is the alternate side is you follow also a group of an American militia people like former soldiers who who decide to defend the border themselves. Yeah. So that's really riveting and baffling at the same time, because you're like, what's going on? This is crazy. And I think because the Mexican wall, the Trump wall, has been in the news so much lately that this movie deserves a go, because it's really enlightening as far as the amount of violence that goes on around here. That's really worth watching, I guess.
Okay, should we dive into the world of John Wick, the John Wick universe? But by the way, the movie is called John Wick Chapter 2. And I want to say something about that, because I think you should not be able to call your movie Chapter 2 if the first one was not Chapter 1.
Is that? By the way, we forgot there's going to be 10 chapters in this book.
Yeah, exactly. No, or you should re-release the first one as John Wick Chapter 1.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's the thing.
John Wick, the epilogue, John Wick, the bibliography, and... Anyway, the first one I loved. I really was a surprise, because the Keanu Reeves just had done okay kung fu movies for a while, and then he came back with Knock Knock. We've talked about it, which was fun, but again a little movie, not extremely advertised. And then John Wick could have been some of these okay kung fu gun kata movies, but it was actually great. And so everyone knows now the franchise and the brand. So obviously the sequel, same director, who is Chad Stahelski, who is a stuntman, actually a stunt coordinator. We'll hear a little clip.
John. Can I see him? You working? Yeah. You? Yeah. Good night. afraid so.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Just like you, I like the first one. I'm just going to say why I liked it, and then talk about the kind of the problems in the end. But I really love the aesthetics. I mean, I really love the how you get plunged back into this endless stream of kills.
Yeah.
As you said, the gun kata, endless numbers of point blank kills, like poo, 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 and then people falling down like flies is crazy. I really adored the, and I think because they are, if you take these steps in single shots, there is the most beautiful car shot I've ever seen in a movie, I think.
In the beginning?
Yeah, in the beginning. I mean, the car chase is just great.
Yeah.
And there is this amazing stellar shot. There is this shot of the car, which is literally flying off the ground and drifting in the air, and then landing back on the route, still drifting. You remember that shot?
Yeah.
And all that in slow motion.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? I was like, this was so good.
Was cool.
And the car chase was great at the beginning. So
It was a great stunt also, by the way, when his car just got hit and he, as a driver, is ejected from the car and he's just going back on the ground. The stunt works on this movie, and the aesthetic, like you said, is pretty awesome.
yeah, so really loved the ballet-like choreography all the time. The cinematography is great. We can see some great shadows and silhouettes fighting all the time. The pace is good. So this is the things I liked. I mean, I like enjoying and seeing Keanu Reeves wiping out like 100 people at once. I really like that. Yeah. So, what did you like about John Wick 2? Or you didn't like it?
No,
Maybe you didn't like
actually,
it.
I really liked it. I was actually wondering if I liked it more or less than the first one. I think it's a little bit less. I think I think I'd better start with what I didn't like, and then finish with the dessert. Which I would like. The movie actually is a direct sequel from the first one. It's like no time or a few hours have passed since the ending of the first one, because you understand that his killing spree has been going on in between the movies to get revenge on those Russians who killed his dog, etc. And I was a little bit scared because I was like, oh, is it going to go on with the Russians again? I mean, what I thought was really well done in the first one is you are emotionally invested in this guy because, well, he just lost his wife and he's lost the dog his wife gave him. You want to revenge like him, but in the second one, you're not angry about anything. I just sat down in a theater, so don't kill people from the beginning, try to trick me into thinking what you're thinking. That's the flaw I would give to this movie. The mythology, the golden coins, and the universe in which him and the other hitman and the mafia and the council of the greatest mafia in the world are evolving. I just love that. I think it was pretty well done, and I like the trick they had to bring him back into this world because he owes a debt to someone. And actually the bad guys, I liked the villains better in this one. The Italian guy, I think his name is Riccardo Scamarcio, the actor. I find him to have more charisma than the guys in the first one, the Russian guys. The scale is greater because he's going international, and the kills are just so cool. I mean, it's just like shotgunning people in the dick all over the place. it's you know what? It all started with the Equilibrium movie, with this gun kata thing, and then there's a lot of Tom Cruise in Collateral, in his suit guy being so precise in his movements, and I loved it. I like the editing. There's a bounty put on his head, and there's a lot of people, obviously, that wants to kill him. And you have battle between him and different hitmen that are intersected in the editing, so I like that. Same kind of scene when he's gearing up, when he's in Rome. He goes sees a tailor who does a Kevlar suit. He goes sees the sommelier, which was played by Peter Serafinowicz. I love this guy. He's a comedic genius. He's doing a great arms salesman. Pretty funny stuff all over the place. It was more fun and less serious than the first one.
Yeah, and I think, and that's one of the thing I don't like, is that I think they could have bumped this up a bit further, you know? I think they could have gone further in the, okay, this is ridiculous, and you get that with Lawrence Fishburne overplaying, and, you know... And I think this would have been great.
Please,
and
someone give this man a gun!
And you know, there's also the other thing when and this could have been ridiculously great when, and at some point there is Keanu Reeves and I mean John Wick, and he's being asked, are you back? And he's like, well, I guess I am back. He's not even sure.
Yeah,
you know?
well, Keanu Reeves is not really he doesn't have to do much, I have to say, in this movie. I mean, the actors are the other ones. Him is just Steven Seagaling his way out of this movie because he has a one-face expression, which I get, by the way. It's John Wick. He's just a bleak guy. Okay. But like you said, you know what? You're right, because in the first one, there's a tone shift. All right? There's the first, there's the beginning where you're actually, like I said, invested emotionally in his revenge. And that's really pretty serious. And then he comes to that hotel in New York where there's another world, a ridiculous world that's coming into the screen. And you're like, oh, it's a comic book. And in this one, now we know that it's a comic book. They should have gone totally bonkers with that. With Lawrence Fishburne's all over the place. With people that are high in colors and just screaming at
And you know, that's really funny because, by the way, you should definitely, because I listened to the Film Junk episode on John Wick 2, and they say the funniest thing. They say this movie could have been a masterpiece if there hadn't been any dialogues. I think you can do the same thing with no dialogues and very cartoony and people just giving like these eyebrows games of people. And I think with the body language, you can imagine that film with no dialogue and it would be great. I think there is the, because obviously, I get really frustrated when most of the time people start talking in that film, because if you take out the few occasions where the guy goes, give someone, etc., when you get out of this, dialogue are really, I mean, obviously, honestly, dialogues can get really boring. Yeah. And
okay, I didn't find there was that much dialogues. Was it? I don't know.
Well,
definitely more than dialogue, the first one.
Once there was dialogue, then it was boring, I'm afraid. So again, this is the only good dialogues you get is when you get into the John Wick's mythology, which I love. I love the fact that they've established a sort of video gamey like mythology. I love the Continental Hotel where he goes with the coins, with the you know, the Continental mysterious concierge. You know, the guy from The Wire who's good. Yeah, and I love that. But once you get out of the mythology tracks, it's useless talk. I mean, the first dialogue, which is supposed to launch the intrigue, is just ridiculous. When with the Italian dandy goes into the house and tries to convince him to go back into the game. And also, I don't like the fact that the film is being lazy, and I don't like the opening scene with the Russian guy giving us back the John Wick story, and he's trying to replicate John Wick 1 great line, which
Exactly.
is, you know, I once saw this guy kill three
Right,
guys with
with a
one
pen,
pencil, and he's trying to redo that, and I
But
think
it's
he's being
exposition,
lazy.
I guess. Every dialogue that's not
Well,
in
but
the
lazy
mythos,
exposition
it's
then.
exposition, and it's boring because, well, either you've seen the first one, or if you have not, then you will understand. We don't need you to take us by the hand and to explain everything. I would agree with that. I wasn't really shocked by the great presence of dialogue. I think every one of the guys were a silent type, but yeah, if you have to give someone dialogues, you need him to be a character. How about the subtitles? Because there was a little bit of that, flashy subtitles in the first one, but just a little. And we've talked about this lately with Arnaud in Triple X, the Return of Xander Cage, where they're doing infographics to, I guess, I don't know, please the 17-year-old in your classroom. But I don't see... It can be good when it's well done. When it's Tony Scott who does it in Dominoes or whatever, it can be cool. But here it's just too much. I don't know about that.
Well, maybe the subtitles, as you said, are a bit. And no, for the ones who don't know what we're talking about, is that they've decided, in addition to over stylize everything in the film, they've decided to come up with this 3D-like color subtitles, which like pops out of the screen. And I think this is the drop, it's maybe they should have gotten further on that, maybe on the they should have made it more ridiculous, to make it even funnier. And to
pull it off,
to go alongside,
they had to be. It's a little bit like we said about the characters and the dialogue. You go further or don't do it.
Yeah. And I really want to watch Running Scared again with Paul Walker, because I think if you could have gotten with John Wick 2 down the tracks, of Running Scared, and I think that's where you get a great film where you don't know anymore, is this serious or what's going on? What the F, So that's why I'm a bit disappointed, because I'm like, oh no, Running Scared was really good because it had that bonkers thing all the time, where you don't know if people are being serious or if people are thinking. You have to take people at face value, what's going on. So that's what I didn't like about John Wick 2, the fact that you're not ballsy enough to go down that road. You have to go all the way down that road.
Perhaps in the third one, perhaps they thought they had to bring us
spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Well, yeah, he will not die, which actually, if he die, at one point I was thinking, oh my god, he might die in this one, and was like, well, no, it's chapter 2, so no. You can call it chapter 2 if you want to kill him right now, but whatever. To come back to the video game thing, I thought it was funny that as soon as he dress up before a travel, then you will find him in that other city exactly in the same suit. Have you noticed that? It's literally like if the movie was displaying some kind of loading graphics, and then you find your character exactly in the same suit, but in another city. Like he never got into a plane or something. He just teleported there.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see some of that stuff with the editing when they are in Rome, where you can see shots where it's like it's like underground, and then in the next shot it's like by the Colosseum.
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. It's like
so
really...
I guess in this way they kind of got into the comic book side of it pretty heavily, and we'll have to talk about those gold coins, which are the currency in this whole universe, because listen, if you, I have trouble grasping what value it is, because sometimes sometimes you just give a coin and then people are getting rid of 10 corpses that you have in your home, Sometimes you give a coin and then they give you like 3 M4s and 2 pistols, and sometimes you give a coin and then give you a gin and a bourbon. What the fuck?
And at the beginning, there is a Leguizamo, and he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna fix your $500,000 car with one coin."
What is that? It's like, I know, it's like a favor, I guess, a service, which is funny. I thought the introducing of the marker thing was kind of cool. The thing that you have to put your blood in it signifies that I owe you a debt, and I think that those kind of ideas were cool, but perhaps not enough. I mean, we saw those. The participants in this universe with the people who are the tailors, who are the arms dealers, etc. in Rome.
Yeah.
But I would have loved a little bit more of that. Oh, by the way, there are no homeless people in New York. They are all in a gang. That I thought was funny.
Yeah. That coin joke is I think it might be a direct reference to this Louis C.K. bit when he refers to this coin as being a really old West thing, when you can't really put value on it. You're like, yeah, I will have a room and a steak and a whiskey and a woman. Yeah, one coin. So I think, to go back on the running scared, over the top thing, that would have been even greater if they had pushed to the limits of the coin joke.
Yeah.
Like, for example, he's taking a break from a chase, and he stops by a hot dog stand, and just gives a coin and gets a hot dog. That would be crazy. Like, if you push that joke to the extreme limits, that would have been, greater.
It is the downside of this movie, but there's a lot. I mean, not the coin, but the fact that they are not comic booky enough, or that they're sometimes just shifting tones. But I really liked it. It was really fun because let's be serious about it. It's like 80% kills. We're just talking about the downside are just the 20% that we actually do not give a shit about anyway.
It's like dancing. It's like a ballet.
Yeah.
It's like dancing, choreographed, killing stuff all the time. And that's why I'm really, because to be clear, I'm not sure if as a whole I love or like the movie. I think I like it, provided the fact that you look around what's in that big blockbuster pool, okay? Once you've gotten out of a triple X, you will find that John Wick 2 is a masterpiece, okay? So what I'm saying is I'm really grateful for the attempt, okay? For the attempt of trying to do something overly stylized and overly choreographed, and I'm really grateful for that. And this is why I think I like John Wick 2. I think you should be grateful for the over stylized settings and all. Well, so because I think what's going to happen is that if people are listening and try to go and are heavily disappointed, I think there's going to be a problem because I have decided in a way to be grateful and to like it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's really the state of mind you're in when you go see this movie, because, well, also it's some kind of, it's a little bit like Fast and the Furious. It's like you if you go see this movie, you know what's going to happen. You will have car chases. If you go see John Wick, you will see people getting headshots all over the place, and
that's what you pay for.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a kung fu movie, and it's a very good kung fu movie with snippets of an original universe, because it's an original movie. So that's fun too. Again, not an adaptation. I was sitting just behind 2 Russian guys, and they just laughed their asses off at the beginning when the guy said Baba Yaga, Baba Yaga. So I guess that the boogeyman, it's probably the word boogeyman in Russian is ridiculous, like I don't know, some kind of Cookie Monster or something like that. Because they laugh.
Yeah, it would be like a French movie for La Petite Souris va venir te manger. That would be something ridiculous, like very childish.
Oh my God, it's the Cookie Monster. At the end of the movie, one guy turned to his friend and said, Baba Yaga, and they just laughed. So this must be really fun for Russian people. I'm actually looking forward to the third one. I really don't know what they will do. They ended on an interesting paranoid note. I thought it was a good scene. He's actually believing like everyone around him is part of the conspiracy of those guys. Don't have a name for this universe, for this John Wick. The Great Council of Hitmen or whatever. I don't know. They should come up with a name.
They are definitely surfing on the Illuminati trend, you know, being on this secret society of well-dressed Italian gangsters.
Yeah. Well, I love that. I love all those movies about, you know, Great Council and conspiracy theories of stuff.
And the boogeyman as well.
Behind the shadows, yeah. I just to end on, I think it had a wink on a Bruce Lee movie with all the mirrors at the end of John Wick 2. I didn't like it. I fucking hate mirror things in the movies. I don't know. It's so 80s. It's done. I mean, it's pretty in this movie, but I've seen that like 100 times now. You have to change your climax movie.
Yeah, and the complexity of the settings makes it not work at all, because you can definitely sense in that scene that they've taken this too far, and you can see the people with the cameras go, "What? This is getting bonkers. We have to stop." Yeah. And then so they shut it down. So it's a bit disappointing. Yeah.
Pretty soon in that sequence, you know that you will be lost. I mean, completely lost, which is not really fun as a spectator, because you're like, well, I don't know what's going to happen, because I really cannot figure out where are the characters in this setting. So I guess I just have to wait it out and see who is killed, which is not extremely fun, because the other scene in the villa at the beginning of the movie, where he actually has to kill his target, that I thought it was really great. He's in the catacombs and he's killing people. That are just swarms of goons that are coming to have him killed. So this was fun, but the setting in the mirrors, not so much.
So just a quick word, because I really like Keanu Reeves, and this film really made me think. And you know, with the "Am I back?" joke, I think it's reflecting a bit on the actual and current Keanu Reeves' mindset about his career, because it's funnily enough, when I checked Keanu Reeves' IMDb page, what you get is you know, the known for bit when it's like, okay, Keanu Reeves known for Speed, and then you've got The Devil's Advocate, and then you've got Matrix, and then you've got John Wick. So I think John Wick is a real interesting landmark in his career, because why I love Keanu Reeves as an actor is I can, and I'm sure it's the same for you, I can identify Keanu Reeves' movies alongside my personal landmarks for becoming like a regular moviegoer, you know what I mean? It's like I can remember my early teenage video store days when I was renting the Speed movie, when I came across The Devil's Advocate, which was one of my favorite movies when I was a 14-year-old. And I can identify also the Matrix era, when you get like this teenager and you're like, wow, this is so cool, kung fu video game, you're like, this is great. And then you've got the desert, because I've not seen any films he did during his kung fu era, you know, in the 2000s, when he did like this 47 Ronin or whatever the hell that was.
Yeah, he directed some too, and it was pretty good, I thought, but yeah.
Yeah, so that interestingly enough, what I like about him in this film, in John Wick 2, I mean, is that when he goes like, "Am I back?" Is he? Maybe he's posing the question. You know, maybe he's not even sure if he's coming back. Maybe he was taken aback by the fact that John Wick was like this huge world success. So maybe there's a real question that he poses as an actor: as is he really back? Because you can see things like, because you mentioned Nicolas Cage, and this guy is literally on the other end of the Nicolas Cage spectrum, whereas on the one hand you've got this guy spending $20 million on his castle in Spain, and on the other end you've got Keanu Reeves, this guy who he makes a film and then he lives off his 10 mils and then he comes back just like Bill Murray, just whenever he needs the money, you know? So that's why I really like this guy.
I think the main difference is I think he sincerely likes what he does, you know, and that's the thing. He does not do that, like you said, to pay his back pay for his mansion in in Spain. He just loves sincerely kung fu or tai chi or whatever movie he does, and then he does it when he wants to, and that's why it actually works, because none of his movies have really bombed or are shitty, and because, well, when someone likes what he does, it's never going to fail miserably. At least it's going to be okay to watch, you know. And that's I'm just watching his IMDb file right now, and I liked it. The movie that he directed, Men of Tai Chi, for example, I just gave it a 3 out of 5. They're good stuff and fun stuff. Even 47 Ronin I really liked too. So yeah, I think he's coming back a little bit more in front of the scene because he's present. He's always present. He always have some at least okay movie to great movies for John Wick, and
he's even been on because I was wondering, has this guy ever been on masterpiece level movies? And in fact he has, because he was in the Coppola's Dracula. I think he's done it all. He's done the regular films, the casual films. I think he's done it all, and it's not going to stop. So, and I think Keanu Reeves and we have so much in common. I mean, he and I mean, because I was reading his bio and I found out that, okay, so he speaks French. Hello. He was born on September the 2nd. I was born on September the 4th. Sorry. This film was shot in Rome. I was in Rome 2 weeks ago.
I'm breathing air. He's breathing air.
Hello. We both like pizza. Okay. So yeah, I think Keanu Reeves is he's the hard, reliable guy. He's like Patrick from Human Resources. He's been there for 20 years, and you can rely on him.
He's the one of the rare actor not to have a fuckload of pre-production movies in his IMDb thing. He always have just one thing to go to after that, but he doesn't have any project till 2020, like The Rock. I guess he's going with the flow and with what he likes to do at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, really, really solidly going through the motion, and just like with the Point Break image, like a surfer. Really, I think it's like this guy looking for the good waves and just moving on with the flow, and that's why I really like that dude.
I like him too. Well, Keanu, if you want to come here in France. Talk about movies with us. Roll out. Cool. Watch some John Wick movies. How many yums, by the way, would you give to John Wick Chapter 2?
Difficult. I think I'm going to give it a solidly generous 3 yums, because I think are we allowed to give halves?
Yeah.
Like 3.5?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, you might give it.
No, okay, I'm gonna give it a 3 because I think it would be a bit unfair to other films. So yeah, solid, generous 3 yums.
I'm going to go with a 3.5. I really hesitated, like I said, on which one I liked the most between the first one and this one. The first one I've rated 4. Yeah, this one 3.5 because it's fun, but it might be lacking something. The degree of rewatchability in this one is over the top. I mean, if you told me, yeah, let's go watch John Wick Chapter 2 in a week, I'd probably be okay with that.
yeah, and also because it sort of launches a new era of films, hashtag bromance. It's definitely the best sort of film you can watch in the back as a background noise. When you, and you can talk over it. You can definitely imagine having a nice night, nice food, drinks, and you can just babble around and just talk about shit.
Over when there's that scene. That's awesome.
Yeah, so that's definitely a subgenre that I really enjoy. Yeah,
the subgenre of movies you can kind of watch while you are eating. We have a board game and a movie. That's the kind of movie we want.
Yeah, that's the shit, man.
All right. So thank you very much. I think we can wrap this up. We don't have. I don't have anything else to say, I think.
Okay, I think we've gotten around it. So
thank you very much, Jean-Yves, and thank you to everyone. Do not forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app. On iTunes or Podcast Addicts if you are on Android. Like the page Faim de Séance, follow the Twitter, the Instagram. Don't hesitate to send us messages, mails, or movies that you wanna hear us talk about. And see you later. Bye.
See ya.